French troops land at Calais on the eastern side of the Dardanelles. Despite all their preparations, the Turkish forces, numbering about 60,000, are taken by surprise. General von Sanders cannot be certain exactly where the enemy will land. Now the battle becomes a critical game of time. How long will it take for the British to gain the high ground that overlooks the beaches? How long will it take for Turkish reinforcements to arrive at those heights and drive the enemy back? The Australian-New Zealand troops, called Anzacs, actually land 1 mile north of their intended beach. Instead of the gently sloping plain they expected, they face steep slopes. Beyond lies a rugged landscape of hills and ravines that divide the shoreline into small, unconnected beaches. The Anzacs rush forward, reaching the heights of the Sari Bear Ridge. On that same ridge stands Colonel Mustafa Kemal and Turkish troops from his 19th Division. Although he has received no orders from headquarters, he knows that something decisive must be done immediately. The Turks are retreating. They've run out of ammunition. Colonel Kemal orders them to stop, fix their bayonets, and lie on the ground. The Anzac troops react and also fling themselves to the ground. Kemal's reinforcements arrive and drive the British off the ridge. At Cape Helles Beach, the British land in broad daylight and are cut down by devastating fire from the enemy. 2 battalions emerge from the transport ship River Clyde. Many soldiers are killed before they reach the shore. An Allied pilot flying overhead reports that the water is red with blood for 50 yards from the shoreline. As darkness falls at Gallipoli, not a single Allied objective set for that day has been reached. The critical high ground overlooking the beach is still in Turkish hands. The Anzacs hold on to their strips of beach for 3 weeks. Then the Turks counterattack in a desperate attempt to drive their foe back into the sea. But they fail, and so the battle goes on, capturing a hill or a ridge at great sacrifice, only to be driven out again. On August 6th, the British stage a second landing at Suvla Bay just north of Anzac Cove in an attempt to outflank the Turkish positions. Although the landing comes off very quickly with little resistance, the troops fail to seize the high ground along the ridgelines. A few days later, the Turks counterattack at Suvla Bay. Led by the British nemesis, Colonel Mustafa Kemal. He leads one of the attacks himself, and the British cannot hold on. They are driven back to within a half mile of the sea. Once again, the Turks have taken the high ground. The Allies have failed to advance against an enemy who is supposed to be inferior to Western armies.
The Turkish soldier is excellent fighting material, well looked after, sufficiently nourished, properly trained and calmly led. These men will accomplish the highest aims.
Bravery itself does not win wars, and the Turks, the Ottoman soldiers, were certainly no braver than, say, the English or the French. So how is it that they actually won battles? And the answer is that they had a very, very proficient army that was trained to a high level of proficiency, although the Allies never really caught on to this. It was an army that was modeled on the German army, and although they weren't nearly anywhere near as good as the Germans, simply modeling their army on a successful army carried them a long way.
As summer